Hello, hi everyone. Welcome to the another video of the testing class. So in this interview series, we will see about Nagarro interview question and answer. So please stay tuned, and if you haven't subscribed the channel, I request you to please subscribe. Let's get started. First of all, we'll see like what all things about Nagarro. So Nagarro is, most of you have heard about Nagarro. This is a service-based company. So when I say service-based company, in this company, whenever you interview, whenever you have selected for Nagarro, after that you need to pass the client interview. Once you pass the client interview, you will be associated to a client and you will start working with that client. So this is all about service-based company. So Nagarro is one of the good company that used to be a service-based company. And it is founded in 1996 and it has several offices in India and out of India too. So let's start with the interview process. So what is the interview process of Nagarro? So Nagarro interview process involve 4 rounds of effectively assess the core capability. Initially there are 4 rounds, and if I talk about rounds, so you will have to face the written test. So this written test used to consist of general aptitude test, which includes your mathematical and logical reasoning related things. So if you have done some mathematics in your 10th and 12th, or so this is just a basic mathematics and logical reasoning verbal. Technical ability test, question on operating system, algorithm, data structure, programming language, and networking based question. Some basic question on this above topic, and some English comprehension related question or English wording related question, and synonyms and all those things. So they used to ask. And next is like coding test. So 3 coding problem, and it could be the basic coding problem that you can solve. And so once you are done with the written test, they will declare the result like this is all you achieved in this written round. Next round is like your round 2. So the candidate who cleared the first round need to appear in coding round interview. So that this is the face to face round of interview, of technical interview. This written test consists of 3 round, 4 coding interview question, and it is a paper based round and could be held online or via test. So this is something like they can give you the URL of any website, or if they have hacker rank, hacker or coding chef, metal, or any other website which they use for conducting the assessment test. So they can give you the detail of it, and you start your credential and start solving the question within some time frame. So once you are done with this written round 2, so this written round also a coding interview. So once you clear this coding round 2, test round 2, then you have to face the technical round, which is face to face round. So I have included some question which is respect to the face-to-face round of interview. So this so let's start with the question. So first question is bug life cycle. So as you know about bug, what is bug and its life cycle, so you can explain that like this is how we used to start, used to log a bug, or so. And when you log a bug, developer start solving it and deferred another status of that. I have created a very beautiful video regarding the bug life cycle. You can refer that. What is the V model? So you can explain like what is V model. So in V model we have some verification, validation, and some stages where where QA used to parallelly work with each individual stages of verification. So you can explain the difference between, if he ask about difference between verification and validation, you can answer that. Next is what do you understand about term data segment in C? So as some part of the interview belongs to coding, so you can answer that. If you know the answer, just answer it. Do not try to solve that question like if you do not know, just say no. If he want like just try, then you can try it, because it depends upon interviewer. Some interviewer thinks that at least candidate has to try. And some says do not give the wrong answer because you have only 1 hour to give his questions answer. Next is what is the difference between truncate and delete. So this is related to DV. Next is difference between method overloading and overriding. So method overloading or constructor overloading, he can ask you about that. What is the difference between frame and iframe in Selenium? How is rename different from aliasing? Equal. So in SQL, we have seen that some aliasing and renaming a column or any attribute. So you know, if you know that, you can answer that this is how we can alias or rename a column. Rename in permanently, aliasing is temporary. I mean, this will um, show in the temporary table, which will reflect in the result section. If I consider something like employee column as A, then A will be displayed in the result. Like this is A. What is the merge sort? How does it work? So you can explain like this is how merge sort will work. Explain inheritance encapsulation. Difference between background and before annotation. So this question is related to Cucumber because background is being used in Cucumber and before is also a part of Cucumber. So what is the benefit of using background as well as before annotation? How can we verify dynamic schema of a response? This is related to API. How can we use one scenario output in another scenario output input? So basically, if you execute one test case, there it must be generating something. Like if you log in and you move to home page, then result is home page is displayed. Now you need to use that output and use in different test case as an input. So you need to give the answer for that. Like one of the feature is depends on method. Other thing are also available. You can write your own wrapper method to do this activity. What is the priority in testing? When I say priority, there are questions based on priority like what will happen if no priority is given, what will happen if we provide negative priority, and if two methods priority is same, what will happen, which will pick first by the execution. Other question which I have, which frameworks you are using, explain your framework. So in next few days is I will be creating a video on how to explain your framework in interview. So I will create a very short video in which if you explain, then definitely everyone can understand about it. Next is what is the regression and sanity, how and when you do it. So I have created a video on regression and sanity, so you can view that and you can answer that. Which annotation do you use for opening and closing browser? It depends. If you want to close browser after each test case, then you can use after method or after class, something like that. Type of environment you use in your organization. So you mean to say the question is related to, I mean, what all environment, test environment you are using. So some people are using dev environment for their testing. Some guys are using staging, some are using pre-prod. I mean, it is similar to production, and some are using their live environment as production. So product execution or executing your script or executing things on your production is not recommended because as you guys will be doing some testing, it will generate some random data. Next is how to find XPath in any website. So XPath is very I mean simple, or you can answer that. How to execute failed test cases. This question might be different for Cucumber as well as for TestNG. So whenever you execute some test cases using testng.xml, so at the same time, TestNG used to create testng.failed.xml. If you review that XML, you will find that out of 10 test cases, if 5 test cases pass and 5 fail, that failed XML will contain the remaining 5, and if you execute the remaining 5, test case start executing and you can again check the result of that. Next is, and if you talk about executing failed test case in Cucumber, so it has different strategy. We used to create a JSON file, and you can, and that JSON file used to contain the scenario, like what all scenario has failed. So you can refer that to answer it, but I request you guys to start solving those problem at your end. If I say how to execute failed test case, so just create some script and start solving this question at your end. Once you are once you are able to solve it, and you can easily answer like this is how I can do the thing. Next is how you run your Maven project. So there are multiple things. You can run your Maven project within the IDE itself or any command prompt or git bash. How do you perform API testing? So basically API manual testing and API automation testing. So you can, if you have done that, then you can answer. So basically, if usually interviewer used to ask question referring your resume. If you have mentioned that I have worked on API, even if you haven't mentioned, and if interview ask you about API, then you can say that I have worked on manual API testing, not on automation, and you can answer something like that I have used in previous project and something like that. But do not give him wrong answer that yeah I have done that, but you are still giving some wrong answer for any question. That will give the negative impact uh, of yours. Next is, what are selenium weights? So you can explain like implicitly weights and explicit weights and fluent weight and some thread dot sleep, but it is not recommended. You can explain about it. Different annotation and its hierarchy, like before shoot, before class, before method, after method, at the rate test, and the sequence of that. This is very important. You can if you start giving interview, you can find this question every 3 or 4 interview. So next set of question is, write code to reverse string without using inbuilt method. Obviously, inbuilt method in any interview, what is the intention of using inbuilt method? I don't think that we need to use inbuilt method. We can use while writing our code in an organization, but in an interview want to know like what is the code behind this inbuilt. Can you create something like that? We want to know about your thinking process, your logical ability to identify the problem and start solving it. Solving problem is very important rather than keeping quiet. So next is, write code which will return non-duplicate value from an array. So this is, these two questions you will see. If you are able to write the code for these two questions, I am 100% sure that these questions will be asked in one of the interview. If you start giving interview, you will find these question will be asked. I'm 110% sure. Next is, how to start writing code from the scratch. This is very basic. What is the scenario outline? This is related to Cucumber. The outline and the uses of scenario, difference between scenario outline and scenario. In manual testing, type of testing definition like functional, smoke, sanity, regression, bug life cycle, agile. So this is about manual testing. So I have consolidated these interview question from different websites or different people's, or as per my experience, and I consolidate all those. Annotations in Selenium, again the repetitive question. You can answer what all annotation you are using. At least you should know the annotation and its objective. Focus on STLC and scenario based question. What is STLC? Phases of STLC and some scenario based question. Something like, if what will happen if out of 100 test case 90s or are failing and 10 test cases are passing, and you need to release within 1 hour, what will you do? So this is like scenario based question. What will happen in developer, you what will happen if you raised any defect, or if you raise 5 defect and developer won't fix them, what will you do? What will happen if you find any defect at live environment? What are the debugging thing that you will be doing? So if you, I mean, clear the this round, then obviously the last round will be the HR round and some basic questions like how do you feel about the interview going in? How do you feel about a colleague took credit of your, and some scenario or some fit in men round, like are you fitting to the role? What is your viewpoint when somebody encourages you or demotivate you when you are working? What will happen? Something like that. So you need to be very positive, or you need to give your the what you are thinking. Make interested in Nagarro. If you had a chance to make one change in Nagarro, what will you do? How would you deal with underserved criticism from a senior? Something like how you prioritize your work, something like. So these are the some questions that you can answer. This is all about Nagarro interview questions. So if you so I would ask you guys to just comment me if you are able to solve this question. What strategy you are using to solve it. If you like this video, click on like button and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day.